Twitch to catch on that we're streaming. Okay, we're up. Let's go tell the world. Streaming indie dev. Gonna finish assembling. Ooh, that's how you spell it. Assembling spaceships. Paste. I didn't get any sleep last night, so I'm going to be pretty brain dead, but we're going to try and do it anyway. All of the hard stuff should be done. We'll see whether or not we can get this to behave. I'm going to reload the Twitch screen, though, so if anybody chatted, I won't see it. For some reason, it still says I'm offline, but it's also showing me as live. Twitch has some problems. Alright, so in the last episode, what we did is we hooked up these hallways halfway. So right now, the hallways can understand their sideways doors. So if I put this hallway here, here, and I hit play, or hit setup, oh, it didn't work. Hold on. Did I not? Oh, it's just not in the right spot. Now let me sneeze directly into the mic. I'm sure that was extremely pleasant. Sorry, I haven't locked everything to the correct ship size grid yet, so it is still a little bit iffy, but there you can see how it automatically detects doors when it's on the correct ship grid. But it only detects them side to side, it doesn't detect them front to back. So that's what we're going to do now. It should be pretty easy. We've already got the door part, we just have to stick it on the front or the back. So to make it clear what's going on here, we're going to have to put in an object specifically for the door. So here's the hall door. We'll just drop it in. And you can see how it's not correctly aligned. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to align it properly. And then we're going to, there we are. And then we're going to save it as a position. And what is this? Is this Z plus or Z minus? This is Z plus. So we're going to call this Z plus, and then we're going to invert this, yep, and call that Z minus. Now that said, they're not in the right spot. So we're going to just move them until they are. There we are. So the doorways are built specifically to fall within this chamber, as you can see. But there's something wrong with the chamber edge. I might have broken it when I built it. Either that or these are off-center still. Are these still off-center? These really aren't off-center, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Are they upside down? They might be upside down. Let's try it. That really doesn't look any better. Oh, they're 90 degrees off. I see. Just delete Z minus for now. And move this guy back into the correct spot. There we go. That's better. No gaps. Hooray. And then we'll duplicate this and flip it. Like that. And that's perfect. So we're going to go ahead and zero out the positions so we don't have any random floating point errors. And then we will go ahead and load those up as the hallways, cap door Z0 and Z1, which are going to be Z minus and Z plus. I can't put a minus or a plus in a name for an array, which is why there's Z0 and Z1 inside this object. But now all we have to do is make it actually check and see whether or not those things exist, which is not as hard as it sounds. We've already got most of the work done. Here's our door check function. And we will just do the exact same thing, except we're going to be checking on the z-axis instead. And I believe it's z. We'll find out. If it's wrong, then that's fine too. We'll go ahead and start with z minus. Yep. And then we'll find the door. We'll kill all of the children in the cap door z0. If there is a door, we'll just create the door. What's it called? Door mesh? Cap door mesh. Wow, I did not get enough sleep. Otherwise, we won't. Pretty easy, right? So if there is no door on that side, then we won't create anything. Now here's the issue. Oh, geez, I've sneezed myself into a runny nose. Live on stream, this is what you came for. Here's the issue. We don't actually have a cap. We've got a door and we've got a nothing, because I forgot to make a cap. So we're going to need to make a cap. But basically what we should be doing is checking and seeing if there's a door. If there's no door, then we want to check and see whether there's a hallway. And if there's no hallway, we want to put up a block. So we're going to have to model that. Let's go ahead and model it. And I'll just go ahead and just continually sniff straight into the mic, because I know that's why everybody follows me. So basically, to create a door cap, we have a couple of options. I think the easiest option would be to actually duplicate this door, and the reason for that is simply because it has the same profile on the edge, and that will allow us to just keep reusing the same profile. And we'll call this a hull cap. And obviously the idea of a hull cap is that none of this crap exists, so we'll just delete it. There we are. We don't need this either. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll just create a cap that's a little bit more pronounced than this. Yoink. So that we don't get any Z fighting. And then we will extrude down to create some kind of visual element, like a window, that the people inside can look through. And that's not too hard to do. We'll just go ahead and extrude this back like this. And we don't need to do any more effort than that. It's fine. I mean, I guess we probably should cap it off here as well. So we'll just put that in as well here. Just oh, we're set in the wrong mode. No wonder I was having a little bit of a hard time. That's fine. If we just line this up, it doesn't matter whether or not it's perfect. It's just so that if we look through it from the other side, we don't get confused as to why we're seeing something strange. But we definitely don't want it to be quite like it is here, so let's undo that. And then move this until it isn't actually inside this loop. So there we are. The newest version of Blender is doing something a little strange with edge select. I'll have to get used to that. Oh man, I'm sorry that I have a sneezing fit just as I started. It kind of ruined it. Oh well. So here we're going to just duplicate this and then fill it and then move it in and flip it. And that's gonna be our glass. And we'll just go over here and say glass. Now this whole thing needs to be unwrapped, so that's what we'll do. And there we are. It's a cap. It's super basic, and we can do a lot with it to make it a little bit less basic. Let's go ahead and just give it a little bit of a beveled chunk here. That should help a little bit. There are a lot of things we could do to make it more interesting, but I think for now that's fine. We don't need to worry about that too much. Here is the actual cap, the wall, and I forgot to unwrap this, so it's been very bland. There, now it should be fine. And we'll just pop on back over into Unity. Grind, there we are. And you can see how that's already substantially better with the block, but we don't have the cap running, so let's go ahead and create it and assign it. Over here in Hull Elements, we've got the Hull door. We're going to duplicate that and set the mesh to a different mesh. The Hull cap. Perfect. And this is going to be our Hull cap. And just make sure that this looks right. It doesn't look right. Do I need 3 here? No. Where's the window? Oh, is this the... I think this is the wrong side. And it's, okay, so yeah. Let's delete that. We don't need to worry about that. And then we'll just go back over into the Hull Elements Hull Cap. For some reason, it's not updating the name. And then we'll just replace this with glass. There we go. And now we're ready to assign that as a new value. I had some gum, and for some reason it's making me feel like I've already been talking for 4 hours. There we are. So basically this is the exact same setup, except for here we're going to go ahead and check and see whether or not there is a hallway. If there's a hallway that way, then we don't need any cap. Otherwise, we'll need a cap. So what we'll do is we'll just check and see whether or not there is a hallway. And the way we can do that is we'll just search through our entire ship, for hallways, and see whether any of them are in that direction. Now, if we're always going to be aligned on the same axis, it's not too bad. The problem is finding out exactly where if the two meet, because we might have different hallway meshes later on, and we want to have the same math work. And that's what we're going to just use the hallways bounds to figure that out. So if their bounds touch, then we're all set. First, we need a list of all the hallways, though. So we're going to actually create a new function here. Adaptive ship architecture. Find matching hallway. Vector 3 edge point. And for here, why is that? Oh, because there's no return? Fine. For here, what we're going to do is we're just going to find all the hallways. So adaptive ship architecture array halls equals ship architecture. Where's our ship? Ship map. We should have just a map. Map.getComponents in children. Adaptive ship architecture. And what we're going to do is we're just going to search through these and find whether one works. So for each adaptive ship architecture hall in halls, if hall equals this, continue. If hall.bounds closest point edge point equals edge point, return hall, return null. Now there's a problem with this in that it might have some floating point errors, so we'll have to keep our eye on that. I'll just put a note in here. This may have floating point issues. Keep an eye out. So we're going to go ahead and say if find matching hallway door check. Then we don't need a cap. So if we don't find the matching hallway, then we're going to have to create the cap. There we are. And this is going to be the cap end mesh. Doing this stuff while you're half asleep is extremely dangerous. I don't really recommend it. But I don't really have a choice, being that I am half asleep. So that's what we're going to do. I think we can delete the debug messages from the first set of door checks. They're clearly checking in the right spot. Come on. And then down here on this, we're just doing the opposite with the Z plus instead, and then we're just going to switch all these Z0s into Z1s. Very basic setup. So now we're going to pop on over into a Unity. Let that grind for a bit. These, we're going to have to turn off the mesh renderer, because that's not the mesh we actually want. And then we're going to try it on for size. Setup. Alright, so here you can see that it's created a door where it should have. Hooray. The door is correctly aligned and everything. This door on this side isn't aligned because it's just rotated funny for testing purposes. But on this side it didn't do anything, which implies that it found a hall exactly where it wanted to. Except that, oh, no, I just forgot to fill in the, sorry. We have to finish setting it up or else it's not going to work. Idiot. There we go. So now you can see that what we've got is an adaptive hall system. If we put another hallway right here, and we just, no, that's not right, is it? Yeah, it is. And then we just right-click, set up. They do work, but it looks like we're getting end caps in there. Are we getting end caps? We are. So there's something wrong with the math. The end caps aren't resolving correctly. And let's go ahead and delete the end caps here. So this is what it should look like. But it's not looking like that for some reason. So why is it screwing up? So it's clear that we've got a problem with the door check not working out. The question is, why isn't it working out? And the answer is, I don't know. But I believe it might be the bounds in question. If we take a look at the hallway, you know what? I think it's a floating point error. Let's go ahead and fix the floating point error that I warned about. So vector3 delta equals halls.bound edge point minus edge point. If delta dot magnitude is less than 1, return hall. That's pretty wishy-washy, but I don't want to worry about it. The chance of the player being able to butt up so close but have a misalignment should be 0. They shouldn't be able to do it. So let's go ahead and try it. Clear that out and give it another setup. Okay, so it didn't work. Here you can see that it is check door Z-ing. I think that the problem, let's go ahead and add in some more. Let's close you. Let's move you here, and click here. Okay, let's put in some more debug since there's clearly something wrong. Debug.log comparing name to hall.name delta of, and then delta. Grinder. There we go. And setup. There we go. So comparing hallway 4 to hallway delta of 0, 0, -2. Comparing. Okay, so 0, 0, -2. That would be 1, 2. Why would that? All right, so here we've got the point we're looking at here. -10, 0, 6. If we take a look at here, this is, let's just grab this. I just need an empty game object I can throw around and try and figure out what the heck's going on. So let's go look at -10, 0, and 6. Well, that would be why it doesn't make any sense. That's not -10, that's -14. There we are. So you can see that it's not actually checking in the right spot. Because I'm an idiot. Jeez, no wonder. So this is very basic stuff, and when you're half asleep, these are the errors you make. I am so smart. SMRT. All right, one more time. No, that's not the hall. That's the hall. There we are. Now it works fine. All right, so let's delete that random sphere I stuck on. And goodbye, sphere. And we'll just delete a lot of the random crap hallways that we've got. We don't need any of this shit anymore because we have it all permanently saved. And now that we've got it set up, we're going to want to drop this in as the hallway. Boom, like that. And that's something we can just duplicate whenever we need. We're going to want to duplicate it as a lightweight hall with none of the elements attached to it. So I'll go ahead and apply that. Delete this guy, and then we'll go ahead and set this up. So if we're talking about how this should look, we're going to have to start duplicating elements and sticking them into place and setting this up to feel a little bit more realistic. Let's go ahead and do exactly that. So we're going to want to flip this, but the problem is that flipping it ends up doing some strange stuff. So let's go ahead and flip them. Okay, so it looks like we can't do them both at the same time, which is not terrible. It just means it's something we gotta do. Doop. And the other one. There we are. Shtadoop. And doop. 7? That's a strange number. I bet it's just because the door is in the wrong spot. This is all going to go out the window once I do a new version of the cargo bay, because this version of the cargo bay is actually pretty crap. It's set up badly, as you can see. So we will be fixing that eventually. Who knows when. So if we were going to set the hallways up, all we would need to do is put them in the right spots. Like that. And then one here. And then what we can do is drop this in here. But the problem with this is that that won't actually have a set of doors. We don't have the doors set up for that yet. So if we hit play, shaboop, it doesn't exist. Do these not automatically run on play? I don't think these actually automatically run on play. Nope, I forgot to make them run. So, no problem. Public void awake. Oh, no. Start. Setup. All right, now let's try it out. Boom. That didn't work because they don't have doors. The hallways do not count as having doors, and therefore they don't count as being neighbors to each other. So the answer to that is to make them have doors, which is pretty obvious, right? So we've got this right and this left. We can set them up as doors, but unfortunately for us, they don't actually have the right positioning for doors. So if we want to have left and right doors on our hallways, we are going to have to put in left and right doors as separate objects. So that's what we'll do. And that's going to be just stuck on over here and then rotated like that, and then set it up as a ship door. And that should just instantly, yeah, perfect. That should work. We'll call this door left, I believe, and then the other one will be door right. There we go. And now you can see they've all got doors. But that didn't seem to have helped any. That's strange. Are they offset incorrectly? They shouldn't be. I mean, look, these doors are pretty clearly set up properly, and they're on all of them, so why is it not properly set up? Is it like just a tiny little problem with floating points? It shouldn't be. So, oh, it's because the ship needs to be refreshed. Okay. No, wait, because we check doors separately, don't we? No, we don't. So we have to reset the ship, which is just something I haven't automated yet. It's not a big deal. Reset map. There we go. See how doors is now 0 rather than whatever it was before, and now you can see how they connect up. Now, obviously, halls next to halls like this is not very pretty. The question is whether or not you want to be able to run halls across the ship, but I think that's even uglier. I'd rather the ships have a z-axis alignment most of the time. Now, the setup for this particular ship does not really allow for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the cargo bays from the equation just for a little while here. And we're going to delete this hallway, and we're going to move this in and this in. So that's -6, and this is 6. Perfect. But once again, this doesn't have this here doesn't have any doors in it because we haven't built any. So we're gonna have to do that right now. Let's go ahead and create some doors. Ship door. And then we'll just put it in the right spot and rotate it until it fits our needs. Yoink. There we are. There we are. And that should be correct. We'll just trim off any sort of floating point damage. Call this Doorlift. Flip it. And move it to the other side. And we will call that Door right. And that should actually be all we need for that. Boom. See how now it connects fine. But of course we don't have the hallway leading forward, so let's go ahead and set that up. I'm tempted to make it so that the bounds are much clearer. I think that -4, I think it's a 4 meter, I'm almost sure it's a 4 meter unit, so I can just go ahead and do this. But you can see how this is kind of arbitrarily set off in the wrong space here. This will work. Let's go ahead and add a door to it. So we'll just copy this door and paste it in. Doop. And then 0 it out. There we are. Door. And we'll hit play. All right, so if we take a look at this in our display here, it's hard to see because it's gray on gray, but you can see how the doors are all hooking up properly. And the only problem is that this hallway decided that this should be a door because it's detecting itself. All right, so we're going to have to make sure not to detect yourself. So when we try to find doors, it can't detect its own doors. So here we're doing a fine matching hallway door check. We're going to want to exempt ourselves from that. So where is the fine matching hallway? There it is. So basically, that's right, matching hallway. We want matching doors. Map.find door. Door check, comma, and then we can say which door to ignore. We're going to go ahead and actually pass it ourselves instead. And we're going to rewrite it so that instead we can... Nope, that's not the right place. There we are. So this will just be able to exempt all doors. And we'll just go over to the definition. And here we'll go ahead and call it a transform. And here we're going to say if... door.isChild of, no, if door.transform.isChild of ignore, return. Also, if there's no door, return. Now the reason that might happen is due to oh, this isn't return, this is continue. The reason that might happen is due to uninitialized map rewrites, which we'll have to worry about later, but it's better safe than sorry. All right, so let that grind until it finishes. By the way, when I let that grind, what I'm doing is I'm twiddling the mouse wheel because it'll zoom when it's done. There we are. That's what I'd like to see. Now you can see that this hallway is in the smack dab center. So what I actually want to do for hallways in the center is make them windows on both sides. This is a really minor rewrite, so we'll just go over into the ship adaptive architecture. And here we can see how it's x less than and greater than. We're just going to want to make that greater than or equal to and less than or equal to. But that implies that there is a bug in the positioning of these. Yeah, look, the position is X offset. That can't be right. That must... Because it's saying that this is X. Global X. I've arranged this entire ship along the wrong axis. No, I haven't. Is this showing me local position? I haven't. It's fine. This position is showing me local position. That's the problem. If I turn on debug mode, it still shows me local position. Did they change this? I swear that I used to have global position. I guess not. I probably just am hallucinating. But I think that the x value is slightly wrong, so we're just going to make this less than or equal to 1 and greater than or equal to -1, because that will keep us from having any floating point problems. 10Chaos1 says, hey, he actually got an ad. And how am I? I am fine. I'm just really sleepy because I didn't get any sleep. All right, there we are. So chances are the x is like 0.000001. But now you can see that what I've got is if the hallway's in the center, then it puts windows on both sides. If it's off center, it puts windows on the outside and a wall on the inside. And that's a good combo. But this is not quite set up because we still have some modules left over. So we're just going to go ahead and move this out another 4. We're also going to go ahead and set our snap to 1. And we're going to go ahead and grab this, duplicate it, move it out. And this can be rotated. Oop, that's not how you rotate. That's how you rotate. Set this to 0, 0, and then slide it into place. It doesn't have a door, so we're going to give it one. Just copy this door here and then paste it in here. Oh, come on. Behave. And we'll just rotate it into position like that. Snip. There. It now has a door. And we'll do the same with this guy here. Now, there's a lot of questions as to exactly how it would be best to set this up. And I think that what we'll do is we'll just slide it here. But it still needs to have a door. So that's what we'll do. We'll set this up with a door, and I think that it's actually too long. Well, we'll figure that out in a second. Just paste the door in. It's kind of a shame that it won't paste the way I want it to, but whatever. Alright, so now everything has doors, but this... Oh, that's fun. This module is way too long. I think that I can move it back 1 unit, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that doesn't seem right. I think that's going to be too far back. Yeah, that's not a multiple of 1. There we are. Yeah, I think that's right. And now you can see it is just a tiny bit too long because I didn't bother to test any of this. So we're just going to flip this and put it on the other side. And maybe move it back. There we are. So now if we hit play, we'll have a ship that's got a lot more pieces. See? So now, if we take a look, we've got a ship that feels like it's a clunky ship. Now, what I'd really like to have is some Z offset. I don't like having a flat plane. The flat plane setup here, it feels like it's really video gamey and doesn't really have the nice feel that I need. So what I would ideally do here is have this center module raised up a meter or two, and then have the other modules. That's cute. And then have the other modules staggered. But in order to do that, I need some kind of staircase setup, and I just don't have anything. There are a lot of ways to do staggered staircases, though. And the question is, should I work on those, or should I try to get my system to be vaguely useful. Because, I mean, I have to implement, like, crew and resources and shit, and I haven't done any of that. I think I might work on the making the ships look okay first, and we can do the crew stuff afterwards. Either way, let's drop this into place. We'll just delete this other cable box. That one. And then this one, we'll regenerate it. Oh, I deleted the wrong thing, idiot. There's two cables here, and I think that this one is the bad one. Yeah, there, that's right. And here I can just regenerate this one. Doop. And you can see that it's not quite right. So we're just going to grab this and move it forward and then try again. Doop. There we go. Oh, 10 Chaos 1 was talking about stairs as well. Yeah, so fundamentally the problem with the basic idea of using stairs is simply that I'm working on a 4-meter grid, and that makes it a little bit difficult to fit stairs without being 12 meters wide. But we'll give it a shot. There are lots of ways we can try it out. We'll play around in Blender and see what we can pull off. But first, it's time for me to do a quick little save. We're going to want to delete these cargo bays. Goodbye, cargo bays. Don't worry, this is in play mode. They'll come right back when we're done. And we'll just pop on over into... There we are. Getting ships to work. Gonna add verticality next. Indie dev. Screenshot Saturday. Alright, well, it wasn't that fun. Let's go ahead and... What the hell is this? Okay, so it looks like I have some leftover cables, so we're going to just delete these. This happens when we do some recompiles and stuff, and things end up flaking out. Since it's apply on start, if we hit play, it'll just work. We don't have to worry about manually doing it. See? But you know what? We should move the camera in this mode rather than in play mode, so that we don't have to keep removing it. That's more like what I'd like to see. More or less. What about ladders with hull elements around them? So ladders are an interesting thing. That's not a bad idea. Basically, I want to do half offsets, so we're going to have to actually go over there and stop talking about it and start doing it. So let's give it a shot here. The first thing we're going to do is move all of this shit out of the way. But we're going to bring back the door, because we need the door. This door. Duplicate. So we're talking about a 4x4 meter hull segment, which is like this. That's the base unit. I can make it longer or wider or any number of things, but let's talk about what we're trying to do. And what we're trying to accomplish is this. Is that 2 meters down? That might be, yeah, 2 meters down. This is what we're trying to aim for. So right now I'm using a 5-meter vertical element. I might use a 6-meter vertical element, in which case this would be 1/3 of a deck, which would give us just the right amount of verticality most of the time. Whereas a full deck would be this, which looks like a lot, and that's kind of the point. So if we're going to do stuff like this, I think that going in 2-meter increments is the right call for this kind of offset. I can't friggin' see anything because the sun is coming in straight through my window, but I don't believe setting this up is going to be a little bit tough. I'm trying to think about how this feels, and I can do it, but I can't split it. So basically I can make it a walkway that comes around and has a ladder going down. Let's go ahead and try it out. Let's go ahead and do that exact thing. And to do that, we'll just join all this stuff together. But first we have to apply the mirror operator here and here and here, because we're not going to have any mirrored elements. We will, but not in the way we have them now. So this is how it looks, and basically these poles are irrelevant. They just glitter. We can delete them. So if we're thinking about how this is going to look internally, then basically what we want to do is connect these elements, and that's going to be the walkway. But the walkway isn't going to be shaped like this, because what we're going to do is we're going to cut a nice big divot out of the middle like this. And then that's going to be some kind of laddery sort of thing, I believe. Let's go ahead and extrude it straight down, and then we will just take an active element, scale Z0, cut it down the middle, and bond it. Now if we grab this line, and we scale X, no, not X, scale Y0, and then again this line, that is an exact even setup. Now I can fix that and soften it later. I'm just kind of doing it at the moment just to test it out. But it's clear that this is an axis of mirror, so we'll go ahead and add in a mirror for that axis. What's going on here? Oh, it just wasn't showing for some reason. Of course, I was in the wrong mode. That's fine, I can dig it. So now that we're mirroring on the correct axis, we're going to turn on clipping, and we can slam this stuff just straight across like so. Later on we may decide that we would like to put in windows, but for now we don't have to worry about it. Alright, so here you can see the basic hallway structure coming together pretty well. And the reason I'm building the interior first and the exterior second is just because that way I'll have the correct shape that I need for the interior. And this involves bringing these guys back. Like that. Like that. And then we will... And that's not quite how we want the shape to be, so we'll undo it. But basically what we'll do is we will bring the rest of this mesh forward. So here, and here, and here, and extrude that, bring it out, and what we'll do is we'll lock that into place here. And then we will set this up with a face. And then what we'll try to do is establish this like so, and cut it and establish that. Nope. Nope. There we go. And then what we can do is merge at last, like so. And that's kind of the shape we want. And then we can just fill. And obviously we can adjust as needed. So, now that we've gotten to this part, we basically need to create a nice mesh element right here. And then we need to be a little bit careful, because there is a lot of stuff going on here, and it would be a shame if we screwed it up too badly to fix it. There we are. Right, so let's go ahead and undo everything we just did. I think that these are a bad idea. I think that we're going to want to bring this back and create a nice, nope, there we are. Create a nice set of slopes here. So that's what we'll do. Is that going to feel okay? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. The player's never going to see it. So now the question is, I think that this wall needs to be set up to slope. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to look at it and hit Control-Alt-Shift-S, and we're just going to slope it. There we are. And that way, when we turn it into a ladder, we're going to have a ladder that slopes correctly. But I think we're going to slope it after we create the ladder because it's easier to create the ladder on a perfect vertical surface. The ladder is going to just be this. I've got clipping turned on, but since I have the actual visual turned off, it's not working. There we are. And we'll just extrude that up or down, whichever way. There we are, perfect. And what we'll do is we'll just duplicate this. Like that. And now we've got ourselves a ladder. This ladder is not ideal. Let's go ahead and grab all of these and just push them straight through. And that should be fine as long as they don't show through on the outside, which seems unlikely. Now what we'll do is we will grab all of that, but first we're going to have to hide this door because it's in the way. Goof. Yeah, good. Just double check that we don't have any values that we don't want to skew. And now we'll skew it. Boom. So there's no handrail here, and I guess we can put one in, but really what I want to do is fix this edge. So let's unhide everything. This edge here is really bad. So we're going to go ahead and cut from here to here to here. And then we are going to scale Z and scale X and get that nice crisp corner that I want. And of course that makes this area look terrible, so we'll just go through here and delete this edge. And delete this edge. And try and figure out a good way to make this look right. And that should do it. There we are. Not like awesome, but very, usable. So now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this, shrink it way down, bring it over. And we're going to just create a railing for our system. And we'll just rotate Y 45 there, and then bring it down like that. And then similarly, if we wanted to, we can grab this line running straight up the side here, and duplicate it, bring it out, and extrude it like this, and flip those faces, and then extrude it back, and then flip the faces again, because I'm really good at that. There we are. And obviously that's not the way I want to do it, so we'll delete that, and we will use the actual outer element here. There we are. I just extrude these, and then extrude them, and then recalculate. Bring them forward. And then we'll just modify it until it seems like it is not good, but convincing. It doesn't have to be good, because we're never going to see it up close. But it does have to feel like it is... That's interesting. There we are. was going the wrong way. And I guess that we'll just cut here and then delete this edge because we don't need it. Nope. And it doesn't really matter if it's good or not, because that's fine. We just need it to feel right. I can go back in and create a decent version later. But what I definitely need now is to add the exterior elements. So it looks like having a 2-meter drop, which is more than the height of a person, is not actually too terrible in this configuration. But you know, I think that this needs to be modified. It's a little bit too wide set. So we need to bring it in like this. And that means we're also going to have to modify this, which is no biggie. We just drag it around until we like it again. And this face is giving me trouble, so what I'm going to do is just cut it. There we are. Oh, and I should probably actually have this finish connecting here. Sure is nice to basically just half-ass things. This is basically just 3D sketching rather than 3D modeling. But it's kind of fun, so, you know. I can always go back and make it better as long as the size is correct. Come on. There we are. Alright, so now we've got the interior, which is more or less good. I think we can probably do a little bit better with these. I just said that we're sketching and we don't really care, and then I'm like, oh, let's go ahead and make it all substantially better anyway, right? So we'll just grab these elements. Slide them, and then grab this element and slide it. And that'll be a little bit more forgiving. That's basically right. Alright, so there we have it. The interior. It's fine, not great, but it's good enough for our purposes. And now what we have to do is put it in a coat. And to do that, all we're really going to do is figure out where it should be. And I think largely that's just a matter of extruding this stuff straight back. Stoop, like that. Unfortunately, it didn't work. We'll just recalculate. There we are. And I think that even these are probably pretty good. Yeah. Now we're going to go ahead and select everything and remove doubles, because we have some doubles in play here. And then we will be ready to start to carve this a little bit. So, did I not get that right? That sure seems right. I don't know why this isn't triggering. Normally it's pretty smart. So what we've got here is a situation where we've got a couple of distinct elements that we want to merge. And for some reason, Blender is not auto-filling these faces which makes me think I've done something wrong. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this, and I think that the best way to do this is delete these. Yeah, there's something a little bit strange going on here, and I'm not sure what it is. That's a little bit cleaner. All right, so now we're getting to the point where it's such strange. I don't know why it's screwing up like that. Getting to the point where we need to have the underlying area here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some storage underneath so it feels like it has a purpose. Oh, I figured it out. These lips in here that we no longer need are causing us the grief that we're seeing. So we'll just delete them. We don't need them. I'm not sure. I think we have them for this face too. Yeah, we certainly do. Boom. That's much better. All right, good. So basically, we can create this here, and then cut it, and then continue to fill it. But you can see how this slope becomes an interesting problem. We can't just fill, fill, fill. So we're going to extrude, pull down, pull back, and shrink. And that will create some wiggle room for our topology. And then we can start to crease across. And our goal is to minimize the number of egregious diamond-shaped faces like this. But we don't have to minimize them if we can make them look okay. So if we create a crease on purpose, then that's fine. That looks like we did it on purpose. So we'll just put a crease here and a crease here. And if we delete this vert, we can actually, yeah, that looks like it's on purpose. So we're starting to get to the point here where we need to be careful of how we do this, because we're getting back into diamonds instead of rects, and we'll just go ahead and finish it off. So by keeping to tris rather than quads, we can control exactly where the creases are, and since this is not going to be an animated object, it's generally fine. We'll just put in one last crease, which I think is best here. And now what we'll do is we will just tell this thing that this crease is a crease. There we go. And then we'll tell this that it's a crease. Yeah, that's actually kind of fun looking, some strange shapes in there. And what we'll do now is we'll add in the cubby holes for storage, which are just going to be extrude, and then skew, and bring it forward like this. And then if we want to, we can take this top edge and bevel it out of existence. Take this bottom edge and bevel it, and then put in some rack elements here. Good enough. All right, so now we have a nice little setup. We've got some stuff that I don't like, and we're going to want to fix it, but it's not a big deal. Even as just a test object, you can see how the shapes of this object aren't so bad. I think we can do a little bit more work with bringing this into line. making that smooth, a little bit smooth. If we uncrease this, yeah, we no longer need that to be creased. But I think we're going to want to bring these guys down. See that? I don't like that there. I think maybe deleting this edge and then just trying it as a face, you're going to get the same crease. So what if we cut it the other direction? No, that's the same direction, isn't it? I think that this face is just not going to work. It's fine. We'll leave it like that. It's good enough. Now what we've got, though, is this. And I don't know what the hell's up with this. Remove doubles. So there is some kind of problem here where it is flat. And I don't really know why. It should be smooth. Oh, it just was marked as flat. Brilliant. So we're going to go ahead and grab it and mark it as smooth. Perfect. All right, so this is our ladder piece. And this is a 2-meter ladder, meaning it is a 1/3 deck drop. So let's go ahead and put this in as an object. We're going to call this Hall Small Drop. TenChaos1 says there's nothing wrong with iteration, and that's good because let me tell you, if there was, I would be in trouble. So if we want to use the Hall Small Drop, the problem with it is that, well, let's go ahead and put it in, and I'll show you. Just doop, and then grab the Hall Small Drop, and pop. And then here is what it looks like. And the problem with it is that it's one-sided. And this is what I was talking about when I said that we were going to have issues. Because since it's one-sided, I can't use it like this. I can either have two of them, one here and one here facing the other direction, or I could use it like this. But if I do it like this, that's actually kind of nice. I like that a little bit. But the problem with this is that it actually raises up the outside rather than the inside. And it would be better if the inside was higher. Basically, I want this to be like this. So if we think about it like that, then what we've got here is a setup where I want these to be here, like this. But even then, that's not quite right because I want to have like a whole line on the lower edge. And what I've got is a system that's exactly the opposite of what I wanted. If I want to make it so that the outside is lower, then I either have to make a central shaft with exits on both sides, or I have to do it in the opposite fashion so that the outsides, so that these pieces are just inverted, and I can just flip it over like this. Now I can't flip it over as it is just because the doors don't match up, but this would work except for the fact that there's no through line. So the top wouldn't stay high. It would drop down and that would be the end of it. So really I need to have it a four-way. I need it to go both. I need to go all the directions, and that's a little bit challenging. TenChaos1 says, what about a grav lift? I'm trying to stay away from really excessive technologies. The stairs are fine because it's low grav environment, micrograv environment a lot of times. I can have a vertical shaft. Let's go ahead and put some more doors in here. So I think that what I need to do here is simply give up on the idea of it being a 4x4 module. And instead we'll need to have it be an 8x4 module, which, you know, is fine. Because with this extra space, oh, I used the wrong pieces. Because with the extra space, I'll have enough maneuvering room to have the correct offsets. So if I do this and then I do this, then I can set it up so that it should be possible to have this. Once again, we are mirroring, so we'll just delete, add a mirror, and I believe that that is correct. There we go. And we're just going to apply the location. There we are. So if I do it like this, there are a couple of different ways I can make it work. But this is critical. I need it to be narrow and long rather than the other way around. Now the problem with this is that 2 meters feels like it's enough to have the crew duck underneath, but 2 meters is just a little bit higher than 6 feet. So tall crew members would bang their head if I had an actual hallway underneath. But what I can do is I can have a drop. So let's go ahead and clear these elements off. I don't need these. And try to build the interior of this. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to start by connecting these bridge edge loops. There we are. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing down here. Bring it across. And you can see how they literally clip through each other, and that's because the hallways are exactly 2 meters high, which means that if I want them to pass over each other, then I need to do it with a hallway that they're going to share the roof and the ceiling. So it's either going to have to be one bumps up or the other bumps down, or I could use a grid. So let's go ahead and set this up to use a grid. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to sync it to this line, like so. And then we're going to put some creases across this hallway. Like that. And then we are going to merge doubles. And that's going to get rid of this center point. And we can go ahead and delete it ourselves. There we go. So now this is an exact grid where the two cross over. And we can play with that to produce a nice setup that feels right. And we can use like a grid element to try and make this feel organic. Now, one of the issues we have is that the creasing is going to be an increasingly difficult problem to deal with, these creases here. If I pull this crease over like this, you can see how that produces weird effects. So I'm going to have to cut really narrow across this edge here. But the point I think I'm going to try and aim for is I'm going to try and aim for setting all of these on the same set of coordinates so that when I do it, they'll work out. And if I cut here and here, you can see how I can get rid of that part quite nicely. And then what I can do is I can do a similar thing with these. And if I go to the median point, I can scale Y and pull them out as well, like this. And that flattens this inner area downstairs, but the problem with that is, of course, that this is not really intended to work the way it's working. So we're going to have to clean it up a little bit, get our topology as nice as possible, and then try it. I have a feeling there is a better way to do this. Let's for now leave it like this. And what we're going to need to do is create an intake. Sugar Satellite says that real ships tend to be quite cramped. 2 meters seem quite reasonable. I agree, but I still need to worry about how to make these things that I've got 2-meter hallways. I've created 2-meter hallways, and I have to think about the best way to make use of them. And I think that the best way is I'm going to have it come around and drop down, but I don't think I can do it with a mirrored ship. I think I have to apply the mirror modifier and then have it swing. So that's what we'll try. We'll go ahead and try a swing. And basically that's just a matter of moving this. So this is a little bit extreme, but you can see how that perfectly lines up with the 4-meter maximum size, which is no good because there has to be an external hull element. So what we'll do is we'll pull that back by 0.3 of a meter. And then we'll have this swing. And what we can do is that this side over here can be a drop-off. And that means I can get rid of that particular edge loop or edge component right there. Just merge at center and then scale it down. Nope. There we are. So if I bring this down, I can then bring it into this other hallway. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. If I were to just bring this hallway wall over, and then I could move it out like this, it goes right back out to the edge again. That's actually a little bit too far. There we are. That's the edge. And so once again, what we'll do is we'll drop that in 0.3, and that should be enough hallway. So the question is, can I make this work? I think there's enough space for it. There is a question of exactly how to do it, but I think if it's just basically a ladder, it shouldn't be too bad. Let's try it. What we'll do is we'll extrude here and bring it out and down. And then we will connect it. And then we'll just bevel this. There we are. So if we create a slope like that, that's fine. And then we can bring this element out to give us a floor. And we'll cut. And we will just join these together. And this inner area here is not really very good. I think we're going to need to create a sharp corner here, or else it's going to feel awkward. And I think that we can actually pull this entire corner, this entire loop. I should probably hide some stuff so that this isn't quite as excruciating. It is pretty excruciating to select stuff, but that's not too bad. Just give it like this. Yeah, that's more or less right. Now, the interior has to go down. So we'll just drop this straight down, like this. And then what we'll do is we'll have these line up properly with that edge. There we are. And I think that we'll just merge these elements here. Now, I don't really know. This feels like it's not quite going to work. That's a lot better. Okay. So let's go ahead and fix this. We moved it and we shouldn't have. There we go. This edge just feels a little bit too narrow even with... So if we're coming in, you can see how it's fine walking around this, but if we tried to drop down, doesn't that feel wrong? I don't know. It feels a little bit too narrow. Maybe it's because I'm tired. I can't quite seem to get this to do what I want it to do. So what we're going to do is we're just going to play around with it until we get sick of trying. So some of the keys here are, I think that this needs to be moved like that perhaps. And similarly on the far side. So we're going to move it the same amount on both sides. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, half a meter. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's try it. Is this what I want? Let's go ahead and try to make it feel a little bit more in line with what I'd like it. The entrance is the tough part for this, and I'm not sure what the best option is, but I do know that I want it to be better than what it is right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to line this set up with that point there. Oh. And line this set up with that point there. And then we're going to delete all of this work we did. And let's see, that's not too close to the outside. It's a little bit close. Let's go ahead and move it in just a touch. In fact, let's move it to here. There we go. So if we take a look, we have different heights on the two sides, and that's because of this groove on this one. So we're going to just fill that in, and then we can bring that down like that. So now if we Shift F, we can see that what we've got is a hole, and the question is, how do we make it so that going down this hole feels natural and easy? I think maybe just a pole or a ladder. I'm not sure. I know that this is something that's possible given the constraints, but it feels really forced, and I'm not at all sure that it's going to work out in the way I'd like it to. But let's go ahead and finish filling in the hole at the very least. So if we take this guy, bring him in line with this guy, and then we can close this off. Ooh. I got some optical illusions going on here. Maybe that's the reason this is so weird and hard to do. Or it could just be that I'm not very good at designing spaceship interiors. I'll have to study up on it, although technically I have been studying up on it, so this is unfortunately pretty much as good as I get. So this part's the hard part, because this part has a wall that doesn't quite work with the setup of our units. So let's go ahead and move it, and then try and line this up so that it feels right. And then the element we've got randomly skewed in the middle can go away. And this guy can be merged. And then we can just set that up. There we are. And then it should be relatively easy to clean up the mess. There we are. So if we take a look at how this feels, when you come through here, you're going to have to swerve to the side, but I don't want people to feel like they have to swerve too much. I think I can probably push this inner wall a little bit further out to the left. But jumping down here is the part that I'm not sure about. How do we make that feel natural? And I think the answer is simply that we're going to have a stair. Let's go ahead and set it up. So I think what we'll do is we'll put stairs on both sides, handholds on both sides. And they're just going to be a pretty straightforward setup, so it's not really going to be too difficult. I'm going to duplicate this and punch it out. And then what we'll do is we will extrude it. Yeah, there's definitely going to have to be a railing. I'm thinking about the railing in my head as I'm doing this, which is one of the reasons why it feels so strange. I think maybe the railing will help it to feel less unnatural. And largely I think that it's going to help it by helping me push players. You know what, let's put the railing in first now that you're talking about it. It seems like a good idea. Helping me push not players but crew members into a specific entry point. And I think that basically the idea is if we make this part railing, we cut like this. We don't need to cut like that. We'll just grab the... Lots of cops today. If we create railing here, like say 1 meter high railing, that is a meter high, 3 feet. That's like your waist. So if we do that, is that really a meter? That seems like it's more than that. Well, either way, if we do this, we can also cut here and then cut here. And then we can just merge these two faces. Nope. And then delete this guy. So if we put a railing in there, then what we see when we go in here is that we basically have to go over in this direction. If we do that, then what we can do is we can create... So this is a one-directional path. You have to come out on this side. So obviously we can't block it. And I think that that's actually the key that I've been missing. We're going to have to... This railing here is actually not going to work, because we need the railing to actually drive you into doing it rather than away from doing it. So let's go ahead and see how that feels. And basically, we're just going to grab these. and extrude them straight up 1 meter. Oop. There we are. Let's go ahead and tear them. Can't tear them? Okay, fine. We won't tear them then. We're going to switch over into individual origins mode, and that'll allow us to extrude them, but you can see that they extrude in different directions. So that's great. We'll punch them out, and then we will grab the punched out. Where is it? I punched them out, right? So where are they? There they are. That's strange. Oh, did I not put faces on them? There should be faces on them. Anyway, we're going to extrude 0.1 on both of these. And I think what I can do is give them different heights on the outside here, like this. And that'll feel a little bit more natural. And then I'll grab this and pull it across. There we are. And then I can just extrude all of these faces and shrink them, and then shrink them again. And then I can just merge them. There we go. So with this as our setup, okay, so this needs to be fixed just a touch here. And we'll just grab this and move it. And then we'll grab here. Perfect. Ish. Good enough. So now, if we were to move through the area, you can see how there's now railings, and hopefully what we'll do is we'll put in, yeah, okay, so we'll put in poles that pop up through the railing here. And to do that, we'll just add in a circle with only 8 verts. We don't worry about that too much. It's an interior object. And we're going to want to bring that down. And then like this. So if we put poles in like this, then if we move through the area, you can come in here and then you can grab the pole. It's too thick, I'll have to thin it out. You can grab the pole and swing down, but between the poles we'll put a ladder so that you can climb back up. The question of whether or not to have a ladder on the outside, I don't think it makes any sense, so maybe I'll put a window there. So now, to make a ladder out of this, we're just going to go over to the ladder object, put it in the right spot, make sure it doesn't interfere with the poles. And I think what we'll do is we'll have the same triangular look to it. And then we will just create an array. Boop. I would normally clean this up a little bit more, but since this is interior only, nobody's ever going to see it. It doesn't really matter. It should be fine like this. So we'll apply that. And then we will just join it all together. So we now have a couple of issues left over, and they're largely the issues of how to make this interior line up properly, And I think that that's just something we're going to fake. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Now the one thing I do worry about is how this top area is actually invisible because it's a single plane. So we are going to want to make sure that that works out. And I think the easiest way to do that is to cut here. And try to get this to be a roof element. Do I have to cut here to do it? I do. Okay, that's fine. We can cut there too. And so I want this to be flat. Use your brain. There we go. And then these will come straight down. And then I guess what we'll do is we'll line this up. Do I want to? No, that's fine. We'll just blah, 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 blah. There we are. Trying to make this feel right is a little bit harder than you might think. But I think what'll help is if I cut this. Come on. And then actually just merge these together. And then we can try to get this to feel right. And that's going to mean... There we are. There we are. That is how I wanted it to be. And the problem is selecting the correct edge here, because I don't want the one that's attached to this. So we're going to select this whole thing and just move it up a little bit, and then do this part. Alright, so that needs a little bit of work. You know what, we're just going to go ahead and fake it because no one's ever going to see it. But if I ever do an interior version, I will have to be a lot more careful about that particular corner. And lastly, we want these interior pieces to be a grid. So we're just going to duplicate them. And then we're going to want to merge away one of those verts. So let's move them up. This guy, don't need him. Where is it? There it is. And then we will just merge the two. Oh. There we are. And we'll just create a little bit of thickness. And now what we should do is make this a transparent grid. It'll be a little bit heavyweight though. I'm not sure that's the best idea, but we'll go ahead and do it anyway. And basically, the way we're going to do that is we're just going to grab... Oh, darn it, I cut it the wrong amount. Grab every other... Oh. There we are. That'll do ya. Oops. I can't do them like that. Well, that's kind of a pain. Let's go ahead and just cut these faces and then do the same up top here. Get those faces, and that's where we'll leave it. That's good enough for us now. We can come back and do it better later, but for now what we need to do is get the exterior finished and settled. And basically the exterior... Why is this not working? That's weird. Oh, there's like random little tidbits left over from when I deleted the inside. It didn't quite take. I bet that was a big part of the problems we were having on the previous version. There we are. This is why you need good topology. Better topology than I have at any rate. Because if your topology is crap, you end up with stuff like this on the inside of your model in places where you can't friggin' get to it. And it just looks bad. There we are. So in order for us to figure this out, basically we're going to have this loop here and this loop here connect, but not all of it, just the top half. And rather than trying to reselect the other side, well, no, I guess that is probably easier. Do. There we are. You can see how it's obviously not perfect. So we're just going to bevel. And then we're going to bevel again. And then we're going to select this interior and scale it up on the x-axis. Like so. And there, we are starting to get something good. Now we actually have plenty of spare room, so we can scale it up on the z-axis as well. Because the hallway is much narrower than, or much shorter than it could be, so it's fine if it's bumped up there. But I kind of want a window on this face, so what we're going to do is extrude a window into this wall. Maybe not at ground height. That would be a little bit much. And then we'll just extrude this out. Like so, and delete those faces. And that's going to be, no, not that face, those faces. And that's going to be the window that we have. And obviously that's going to be a major part of the topology of this part of the mesh. So it's better to have it earlier rather than later if we're not going to be doing Boolean cutting or anything. And you can see that this loop here is no good to us. It's actively bad, so we're just going to delete it. And then the goal is to line this stuff up, and we did a pretty good job of it. Now, if we cut here, like so, we can merge here and here. And what we'll do is we'll soften these edges. Ooh, that didn't work. That's a bad shape, so we won't use it. Oh, that's not exactly ideal, but it's not as bad as it could be. We'll call that an okay solution. Now for this side, it should be the same sort of thing. Let's go ahead and do the opposing edge first. And this is basically the same setup in terms of making sure that we have everything working. And once again, we're going to want to pull these across, but the problem is that they cut underneath the other door. So in order to pull them across, we're going to have to dent them. Bridge edge loops, and then we're going to just put this edge loop right here, and bevel it, and then bevel it again, and then grab this. Come on, seriously? This one. Thank you. Pull it down. And we'll just start to fill that in. Good enough. And then obviously these parts can just be filled straight across. We don't need these beams. Now we could go in and try and merge this edge together, but since the edge is straight anyway, I don't think it's necessary. We'll just double check that it's actually straight. Because if it's sloped at all, then that would be bad. I think that's fine. And now we're going to go ahead and take this big ass, bring this over, and then we're going to just cut it up so that it covers our area. Like this. And I think we'll shrink it down so that it's a little bit more correctly sized. But the problem is that we're not on center. The reason we're not on center is because we deleted some of the loops of this door, which is fine. It'll give it a nice little look to it. Even on the outside, we'll be able to tell that it's more complicated than it appears at first. And now the question becomes, how do we want to do this part? And the answer is we need this to merge down properly. So we'll brute force it. And then with this triangle, we can just try and cut the triangle. I think we want a quad just because otherwise it's a real pain in the butt. But you can see how that quad's not very good. So let's cut. No, that's not going to work. I think we will brute force it after all. Boop, and boop. And then we can cut, but unfortunately we're going to have to do it manually. There we are. So this outer edge should be flat. Come on. And that means it's going to be very forgiving about merging together correctly. But it's only flat on that side. On this side, it's not flat because it bulges out. So we have to decide what we're going to do, and the answer is we're going to delete these. And now it's flat. Easy peasy. This topology is crap, but we're just kind of sketching it together, so it's forgivable, I guess. Forgivable doesn't mean decent, though. All right, so we're going to call that fine. This isn't going to work, though. And the reason it's not going to work is because it needs to be flat. There we are. Looks like a strange rifle part, says 10 Chaos 1. Yep, that is true. Yep, lots of spaceship parts look like strange rifle parts. Good enough. Let's go ahead and call that the Neil Breen. There we are. And we'll save that. We need to unwrap it. Now this window is actually empty. I forgot about that. Let's go ahead and put some glass in it. Oh, it's a pole. I see. No biggie. Flip. And we can actually take this glass element that we just created, or we can reselect the loop on the outside, duplicate it, extrude it with a center. Extrude it again, create ourselves a little bit of blinds, or not blinds. There we are. And this is a little bit good because it allows us to do some dumb tricks. So let's go ahead and do some dumb tricks. No, not scale. Rotate. Hold on. I got to recalculate and then rotate Y. There we go. And then we can scale X first and rotate Y afterwards. Yeah, like that. That's good. And then we will move it to the top. And we will tell it to be an array with a constant offset of 0.25. No, negative 0.25. Same as the staircase. So maybe negative 0.2, negative 0.15. There we are. And we're going to go ahead and call that deco. And we're going to unwrap it. And we're going to need to apply that and join it back in. This here will also make deco. There we are. So this is a lopsided part, and I'm not sure whether or not that's going to be good or bad in the long run. But in the short run, it's fine. So let's take a look at that in terms of how it looks here. And we're just going to drop this to be the double down and rotate it until it's correct. I flipped it over at some point, didn't I? I did. So we're going to unflip it over. Someone's throwing their... Hold on. Sorry about that. No biggie. So, it's just backwards, so we'll flip it. Whoop. Zbloop. There we go. And now what we have is a set of doors there. We've crowded the whole ship up with a whole bunch of random crap. So in order to test this, we're going to need to add in doors and stuff like that. So let's do that. Oh, we also need to add in the glass. One of these is glass. It's that one. All right, so hold on. Where did the deco go? Oh, I got the wrong one. That one. And then deco is this one. There we are. Better. So you can see that not all of the unwrapping is done very well, but that's fine for kind of smash and grab part like this. It's just fine. So we'll go ahead and drop the door in here. We'll just call them door. We don't need to have a specific door. And we'll move it. There we go. And flip it. There we are. And that is perfect. Duplicate, flip, stoop. And we're going to want to make sure that we don't have any weird Okay, we don't have too many weird floating point problems here. The rotation isn't a big deal, but we'll go ahead and duplicate these, and then we will simply move them to -2 and 2. And then we will rotate around their center and move them into place. There we go. There we are. This is now set up properly. It is 2 Hall units long, so we can delete 2 of these Hall units and drop it into place. Now, in order for this to actually work, we need to drop down these units on the outside 2 meters, like that. And now, when we hit play, shaboom! It looks a little bit strange. This hall didn't engage. That is presumably a floating point error. Because look, I mean, that's an overlap. Oh, the ship needs to be recalculated. That's right. To be honest, this needs to be in the ship in the first place. Probably that was the problem. Reset map. That's better. So basically the hope here is that we can get it to have verticality like this. You can see how the windows on the bay, on the hallway now are above the modules underneath. Previously they were at the same level, which made it really hard to see what was going on and to feel what was going on. So by having some verticality into the mix, we can get a little bit of variation there, and it'll feel nice. And the way we'll force that is we will have the modules offset, just like they are now. So the hard points that you aren't able to change, the engine, the cargo, that sort of stuff, those will be offset by a certain amount so that you'll be forced to go and have some verticality. And we're going to go ahead and take another screenshot of this and just put it up there as something that we've got. And we're almost done, so if you've got any questions, now is the time. Added verticality. That was surprisingly hard. Stairs are hard. And we will go ahead and show a real up-close and personal account of this. Trying to figure out the best way to pull it off here. I'll just go ahead and do a walkthrough manually here in this mode. Well, let's go ahead and shrink the hallway, because it is in the way of the visual. Interior is placeholder, but it's laid out so that it'll work when I create final models. Indie dev or game dev. There we are. All right, so that was fun. And I guess I'm going to go do something else. Thanks for keeping me company, and I will see you on Wednesday if you care to come back and watch me do more stuff. Hopefully I'll be less tired. The verticality was really bothering me. I was trying to imagine in my head how it would work, and I couldn't figure it out, and I just finally bit the bullet and did it live on stream. Normally I would do that sort of thing off stream, so that you wouldn't have to watch me do it. But it didn't turn out too badly. At least I don't think so. And thank you for keeping me company. See you around.